All right, guys, let me just get through a quick rant. Some of you guys have had your brains rotted from all these SAT tips and tricks. And specifically on the grammar section, some of you just switch your brains off and stop reading the sentence for actual meaning. Instead, what you do is essentially comma counting. You're doing comma counting because you read in some textbook like Erica Meltzer or whatever that anything between two commas can be removed from a sentence and the sentence would still make sense. Well, isn't that true? You tell me. I'm going to start writing a long sentence, okay? I'm going to do it piece by piece, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what the problem is, okay? So let's get into it right now. Okay, so let's get into this sentence. As a man with feelings, as a man of feeling, I, who hail from another city, London, Ontario, specifically, like you, who appear not to hold for me none so dear. Okay. Now, I have a really quick meaning question before we get into the grammar of this, okay? True or false, like you is specifically referring to this you person, the second person, being from London, Ontario. True or false, like you means that the second person is from London, Ontario. Well, guys, your tendency is to not even think about such questions when the grammar question is popped on you. Instead, what you do is you comma count. So let's actually count commas here. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah? Well, let's assume that you can remove anything between two commas. Well, the insane thing is here's the first set. So we can actually remove this. Here's the second set. So we can remove this. And then here's the third set. So we can remove this. What the hell does that leave us as a sentence? It leaves us as a man of feeling who hail from another city, Ontario, like you, who appear to hold for me none so dear. That's an insane sentence, and congratulations, you removed 6 commas and you also removed 6 IQ points from your brain. Like, this is not a sentence, okay? So what are you supposed to do instead of counting commas? Well, look for the subject and the verb. The subject and the verb, I guess to be more technical, the predicate that can constitute the main clause, the independent clause that all these modifiers hang around. So here is the subject, I, and here is the verb, like you. I like you is this sentence, okay? The thing, though, is that by using the double comma rule, you ended up eliminating the subject from this freaking sentence because you're not paying attention to what the sentence is actually trying to say. The sentence is only trying to say, I like you. Not you who hail from another city called London, Ontario, specifically London, Ontario, like me. That's not what the sentence is saying. Okay, the sentence is specifically saying, I like you. Then from this I like you, you reconstruct all the other parts. So let's actually label these parts. Part 1, part 2, part 3, technically, potentially 3/4 since you're counting 3 commas here. This actually could be 3, 4, 5 as one thing, and then 6. Okay, so let's find these parts separately. Okay, so combining the main clause to to part 1. Part 1 says, as a man of feeling. Okay, part 2 says, who hail from another city. Part 3 says, London. Part 4 says, here, actually, I'm going to erase this. London, Ontario. Oops. Specifically. And then part 6 says, who appear to hold for me none so dear. Guys, our main clause is, I like you. How do we punctuate this? You take part 1, and you put a comma there. As a man of feeling, I like you. You take part 2, and what does that describe? It actually describes the I, so you're going to put it between the I. I, who hail from another city, like you. Part 6 is easier than 3, 4, 5, so I'll come back to 3, 4, 5 in a second. Let's start with 6. 6 describes the you. You who appear to hold for me none so dear. Okay? So what is 3, 4, 5? 3, 4, 5 is actually modifying, I'll use a different color for this, specifically London, Ontario. London, Ontario specifically. 3, 4, 5 is actually describing the city, right? So there's a city in here, and we're actually modifying that. So that's 3, 4, 5. Now, if you want to be even more specific, Ontario is describing London, and specifically London is just specifically is the adverb for London. So Ontario and specifically are technically for London, but we don't really care. I don't think you need to get into that level of detail. All right, so that is 3, 4, 5, and that is also 6. So then you can put all these commas in between as a construction based on the meaning of the sentence, which comes from the subject and the verb. Okay? So instead of counting commas without any regard for the meaning of the sentence, without hoping that eliminating parts of the sentence based on your counting of the commas is going to somehow help you with the meaning of the sentence, you're doing it the other way around. Do it the correct way. figure out the meaning of the sentence from the subject and the verb first, and then add all the modifiers with their commas or whatever afterwards. Okay, that's my rant. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you learned something new about how grammar works with meaning. And if you have any further questions on this particular concept, or if there's any analogy that you feel like you can come up with to describe this kind of confusion, drop that in the comments. I think it'll help me and help others understand this concept a little better. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next one.